UNC, Wofford, and I guess Long Island as well.
Not familiar, but this is my favorite day of the year, honestly. I'm very proud of our team for being in the NCAA tournament, and I always enjoy the opportunity to dive in and to look at the three opponents in the regional. Obviously, you're talking about great teams. I believe Carolina won the ACC. Wofford just won their conference tournament. I know that they played 7 games this past week to accomplish that feat. So, it's a team that has toughness to it. Going through 5 seemed like a lot for us since Tuesday. So 7 since Wednesday. That's impressive. And congratulations to Long Island. Don't know anything about them, but their enthusiasm when they were announced, that always sticks out to me. Been at programs, where that's a big day when you get that automatic bid as a mid-major that's a one-bid league. So playing 3 championship teams, so that's awesome.
Do you have any sort of takeaway with, I guess, coincidentally being paired up with Tucson's regional, and in case if you guys make a super, potentially having to go back there?
Not really, just because they're so much ahead of that.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them for winning the Pac-12 and the Pac-12 tournament. Obviously I pull for their program. Obviously if we're not playing each other, which we haven't played to this point. But no, not really. I think once I saw Wofford, it kind of, there's a brand or style of baseball that I know that they have, even though I'm not familiar with them, and I started running through that in my head. And then, okay, where are we going? Okay, we're obviously flying. This is when we're going to put in to leave. So, there's so much ahead of that happening for both of us. I really haven't thought about that.
So roughly then, what's sort of the timeline moving forward heading into this?
Yeah, we needed a rest day today. So especially those guys that were on their feet for 5 days. I'm really thankful to our administration. We got us a plane yesterday to get home. And I think the difference in getting home at 9 p.m. versus bus and 2:30 a.m. is very impactful. So those guys will be in the training room today. Tomorrow we'll have a light workout, which will consist of mostly in the cages. And then the strength and conditioning piece will be important tomorrow because we played just about every day of last week. We'll have a regular or more normal practice on Wednesday to cover some things that we uncover, about our opponent on Friday. And then we'll probably shower and eat here and then leave mid to late afternoon and then get there, get a good night's rest. It's a 1-hour time change. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm always very sensitive to that in conference play when we do that. So getting there Wednesday I think is important. And then we'll have the practice day. You get like an hour and 15 minutes, I believe, on the field on Thursday. Another one of my favorite days of the year because there's 235 teams having exit meetings today and looking at 2025. And and then Friday, I don't know what time we play. I know we're playing Wofford, and from there it's one pitch at a time. There you go. That was the whole deal.
You ever been to UNC?
I did not play at UNC. Matter of fact, like when we played Wake Forest last year, it's the only time I'd played an ACC opponent since my very first game as a Division I head coach. We played Boston College at Nevada. So, yeah, I have great respect for their program. Much like LSU relative to, there was a stretch there with Omaha trips. They were running around Omaha a lot. Mike Fox was the head coach there, and Scott Forbes is the head coach now and was the associate head coach then. And you think about all the big league players that they've had, it's one of the best brands in the sport. So I think it's awesome.
Coach, you guys are probably the hottest team in college baseball right now. You've probably played some of those kind of teams before. How do you beat that kind of a team? And what components are difficult about facing a team with that much momentum?
Are you talking about Wofford?
No, you guys.
Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
from the other side of it,
Yeah.
when you face a team.
Yeah, I was like, I have a lot of work to do today. I literally, Michael and what I came up with already, I uncovered from going in my office while you were talking to Tommy and Michael. As far as that, it's so day to day. I say this all the time with 18 and 19 to 22-year-olds. But what I do like about our team is I feel like we have a mindset relative to confidence and belief that is stronger than it's been, with this team. And they had to win to earn it, and they did. They've won a lot lately. And, having 40 wins before the NCAA tournament starts, that's a good accomplishment. And I think they have a ton of confidence, so that makes them hard to deal with. I think we have a brand of baseball now that they have an identity as a team, relative to really good starting pitching. I think the real positive about the SEC tournament was, I know we had 2 games where we gave up a lot of runs, but when we needed to get zeros in the back half of those 2 games against South Carolina, we absolutely did. And then yesterday, that's number 1. Those first 3 guys are all major leaguers, and first 4 guys are all major leaguers. Inslee killed us yesterday, and Tiers is probably a major leaguer. So you got 5 of 6 guys that are major league players, and we held them to 4 runs. And we got ourselves in position to win the game against the best offense in the country. So I think the pitching dynamic is good. I think the at-bats have certainly gotten better. I think we've played very good defense. We had a little bit of a rough start to the game on Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday now against South Carolina. But I feel like we have an identity and we have the confidence, and that's probably what makes us tough to play.
So kind of to build on that, you've spoken really when you guys were even going through your struggles that you believe this was a top 15 team.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the team you've been seeing these last
Yeah,
couple weeks?
for
Or
sure.
Is there another gear?
There's always another gear, and I think we're well positioned to hit that. I think what my hope is that they utilize all the experience they've gotten, the great start to the season, the difficulty in the middle, the overcoming the difficulty, the great play late, to position us to play our best when our best is needed. And I think the good part about being in the league, the opposite part of just having a super regional caliber team every time you take the field, is there's nothing from this point forward that we will have not seen. And I think there's a lot of benefit in that.
So obviously,
It's tiring, but there's a lot of benefit in it.
so obviously the coaching staff will be studying all 3 of these teams.
Yeah.
But how do you sort of disseminate that information to the players? Is it just
Yeah.
stick to Wofford and then you worry about North Carolina and Long Island later?
Well, I think the regional is unique, and the bracket in Omaha is unique, where you have to be ready for all 3 of them. I like the Omaha thing because you have the day off in between. You don't have that here, and so we're having a light workout tomorrow. We're off today, so we'll probably get everything done for all 3 teams going into Wednesday's practice. And then Wednesday's practice, if we feel like we have something that is super important to the game on Wednesday, that will be that. And then we won't cover anything else. Like, we'll have it ready to present, but we won't present anything else but what we feel like is important for the game on Friday. Then, if you win, lose, whatever, whoever the next opponent is, during the day or the evening, if we have time to meet, we'll cover what's important for that next game. And then the only tricky one is if you get into the Sunday doubleheader deal. You really got to be on top of it. But it's baseball. It's different than football. We're not talking about nickel defenses and all of those kinds of things. Are they running the spread, no backs, all that type of deal? Do they onside kick? We don't have to, it's like strikes, low strikes, move the ball in and out, change speeds. Okay, control the baseball, catching it and throwing it. Don't swing at balls. Battle with 2 strikes, hit mistakes, move the ball with runners on base. So none of that changes. So that's good. The other stuff is probably more for me to just help guide, putting the players in a good spot.
For them, how much does it help to, I guess, simplify things as much as possible when you get to this point in the year?
I think it's really important. I've always believed in a thought of cut it in half and master it. And then complexity is the enemy of execution. And I think there's some real things with that. I think there's some real things like in the world right now with that, with our players. And, I talked about this, 6 or 7 weeks ago, the importance of just being positive. You know what I mean? And I think that had great value for our team. And it was a simple thought of, I'm the most competitive guy in the world. And, but our players needed a backing to be able to pull the best out of them. And it wasn't like this, crazy concept. It was like, just do that. And then, the gains from that, I think, have been really good.
With as great as Gage and Luke have pitched, how much do you think having these kind of, 10 days, 11 days in between their outings will help them? And just kind of how does maybe their progression towards this weekend kind of affect the fact that they have an extra couple days here?
I think it's good. It's needed because, those are workhorse type pitchers. and the best teams I've had have workhorse type pitchers. Just thinking about the Omaha teams, Nathan Bannister, Bobby Dahlbeck in 16, Chase Silseth, Garrett Irvin in 21, obviously Paul Skeens, Ty Floyd, and 23. So they fit that. And, man, I've won a lot of games with just average dudes. It's so nice just to be able to run really good dudes out there, man. I'm telling you, it's been awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you check in with Christian today to see how he was doing?
Yeah, I think he's doing okay. We'll have to see, and it's tricky because we're in that time of year. Like, if you can't pitch, you can't be on the roster. Because of, especially in the regional round, because of 5 games, potentially in 3 or 4 days. I'm optimistic based on where the pain is, talking to Isaac Trujillo, but it'll probably be fast of how fast does he recuperate, and we're probably not going to know that till Thursday. He'll definitely travel with us. It's just a matter of, it'll probably be a late decision on whether he's going to be on the active roster or not.
Is it 27 or 30? As far
It's
as
27, yeah. 30 is the SEC tournament.
Okay.
It's 27. It's like a SEC conference weekend, so.
So he can travel but not be on the playing roster?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, that's a school-by-school decision. And, I think he's – and we have all of our players that play in our program have earned it. Like, everybody that wanted to go to Omaha last year went to Omaha last year. It's just the regional, potentially super regional round, when you're on the road, it's a little trickier. But by and large, we usually travel. On the conference games, we travel everyone. You know what I mean, whether they're on the 27 or not.
The job you bullpen did this week.
I think it was the highlight of the weekend. Well, there was a lot of highlights, or the week. I wish we would have won yesterday, but I'll remember that week for a long time. I'll remember that week for a long time. I wish we'd have won, but I'll remember it for a long time. And the evolution of how things happen. I mean, 2 dominant pitching performances by the guys we were mentioning. Offense really jumping on people, hitting in the clutch, coming from behind twice, and then almost 3 times, and what allowed that to happen was those guys being so good out of the bullpen. I think about Sam Dutton's, inning in a third yesterday, and it was funny, like, I was going to take him out after 2 outs, and I was like, hey, man, I think that's it. And he kind of looked at me, and he's like, I'm about to get after you right now. I was like, why don't you go back out to the mound,
A lot of times they talk about what midweek games mean.
Yeah.
And we have 5 other teams from Louisiana make the tournament. I would imagine that helps.
I'm telling you, it's one of the hidden gems of being the coach at LSU, is not just playing in the SEC, but you have a chance to always have a good RPI because of the quality of baseball in the state. I mean, it is awesome. And I talked to Mike Silva last night. I talked to Jay Ullman today. I'm going to give Davin a call today. I'll give Matt a call today. I feel like Lane. I'll call Lane today. And so I think that's the 6. And it's really, really good. And I'm proud to be a part of that. I mean, I think all those guys, those are all great programs. I'm sure all of them, if they choose to, will coach at bigger programs someday because they're all quality coaches. And, I've only been here 3 years, but I will tell you, I'm taking a lot of pride in that.
We've seen the same lineup pretty consistently lately, the batting order. What do you like about it, and what was maybe the hardest part in piecing it together?
Yeah, I really like Michael's at-bats at the top. I really like how he's just playing baseball. I like him being on base in front of Tommy. I think Alex, for the early part of the tournament, the first 3.5 games, did a great job getting on base. So it presented more opportunities for our damage hitters to hit with guys on base. When the lineup turned over, I thought Hayden had a good week. Josh, I just trust. Like I said, that's maybe analytically unexplainable. It's just called a coach's decision, and made me look good a couple times this week. Milam, he's a really good player. I mean, he's a really, really good player. And, which is awesome. Back and forth a little bit with Mac and Jake, and that'll probably go that way based on the game. And then 8-hole Ashton has had a really good freshman season for us. And And then Alex has done a good job turning the lineup over. I like Brady, as well. If we have the right matchup, pinch hit, DH, type thing. But it's been good.
You mentioned Mac and Jake. Where does sort of Paxton Kling fit into that?
Yeah, Paxton's right there. Yeah, I mean he played in 4 of the 5 games. I think it's unbelievable to have a player like that that you can deploy and wherever you can use his talent the most. And he may play too. None of that is really settled, and that's okay. All of those guys have contributed to winning, and it's good when you have some hard decisions like that.
Was he available for the championship games? I don't remember seeing him just.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a stomach bug thing that if he had to, we probably could have rolled him out there, but he wasn't doing real well.
I think he used the word niche yesterday when describing the bullpen, finding their niche, whatever. Sorry.
Yeah.
How much of that is an evolution, I guess, and kind of figuring out, using the regular season to figure out where they're most effective?
Yeah, I want to win every game that we play, and I hate talking about it like you're doing some experiment, because you're trying to win the game. That's what I'm trying to do every time we play. Baseball is very experiential though, and I try to have as much inexpensive experience as possible, but sometimes there's no way to it until you go through it. And I think we've seen that. We were talking about Milam. He's an unbelievable player. He's way better than he was 5 weeks ago. It's not even. It might as well be in having a different guy on the field for you and in the batter's box. And I think that goes with some of the pitchers too. Even Gage Jump. He only thrown 14 innings before coming here. He was behind going into the season, so he only threw 1 inning. Then he threw 2 innings. He didn't give up a run in 4 non-conference, and he got hit at Mississippi State and at Arkansas a little bit, and it took him a little bit to whoa, I got to respond. Well, now that he's learned that, he's done that, he knows how to do it. And, he wasn't even really in any trouble in his start on Tuesday, but when he's gotten in trouble, he's been able to get us off the field. And sometimes that's just experience. Yeah.
So the bullpen, do you feel like...
Sorry, I didn't answer your question.
No, that's all right. Do you feel like that's
I feel good.
That's
yeah.
what they've gained from it?
Yeah, I think if you look at yesterday's game, again, that's an elite team. It's one of those years where it could be their time. Mm-hmm. They're all old. They'll lose 7 of those 9 guys, and we only give up 4 runs. You know what I mean? 3 on 1 swing of the bat, unfortunately, and a guy I really trust. In Fidel, and then. Again, the scores are ugly in those South Carolina games, but we were down 8-0. And so to only give up early, in the 3rd, I think, so to only give up 12, it's the bullpen. Thursday night's game, and I don't even remember Fidel, threw 2 scoreless there. Lore came in and got some outs. So I don't think they scored for the last 3 2/3 on Thursday night. So Thursday's game and Friday's game and Saturday's game and the championship game on Sunday. They did their job, and I think you'll see us. Do a little bit more of that this week. I like doing it anyways because I like it when everybody contributes. So we'll see. But Koki asked me yesterday after the game, what guys and this and that. I'm confident in all of them in the right spot.
Is it learning to compete? Is that what your team's done the best over the last 2 months?
Yeah, I think so. There's just no pathway to be prepared for here, playing here. And so it takes a little bit of time. When you get more talented guys that are self-assured, that are mature, that's your Dylan Cruzes of the world, There's not a lot of those guys. But do we have good baseball players? Yes. Aptitude? Yes. They just needed some experience of success and failure, how to handle it, and move on. And our meeting was 2 minutes in there. This is what we're doing, because I feel like we're at the point of okay, next, let's go. Let's just keep our eye on what's important now.
How much are you adjusting for? You mentioned this briefly already, but adjusting for the hour time difference.
Yeah, I think it's just getting there early enough. So Wednesday, like if we were to leave, I'm just ballparking it around 3 o'clock. It's an hour and 40-minute flight, I think. So that puts you there at 5:40 that time. So then you have that evening. You have the practice day. And then again, even if we're playing the early game with the time change, I think that gives us enough runway. Or if we're playing the night game, you still have all day on Friday. So I think we'll be okay, with that. I do think there's something too, like getting acclimated, We didn't win the series, but I thought we played pretty good at Alabama, and we left early because we busted. We left early because we busted the SEC tournament, and just getting settled. And this team, more than any team I've had, when they are fresh and rested, that's when we typically play our best.
Why do you think that's the case with this team in particular?
I don't know, because me, like I'm ready to go out and practice today, and we just played 5 games in 6 days. So I used to say sometimes you got to save them from themselves. I guess you got to save them from me, in that regard.
Did the SEC, we heard some conflicting things. Did they ever give you the reasoning for why they said you might not be available for Sunday's game? And then
yeah, but it's like water under the bridge, and don't really want to get into it. I just did what the umpires told me to do. I mean, like, that's probably the reason I was available is, I just did what the umpires told me to do. I'm just proud of our team for winning that game, and I don't like. Our team deserved to be fought for in that moment. Like I said, my only issue with the whole deal was the call was not made on the field. It is not a reviewable play. The opposing pitcher was out there warming up for the next inning. Then somebody from their team came out and said, hey, you guys missed this. This is the deal. Well, it's like, why don't we just have the other team be the 4 umpires then? Like, that was my only complaint. And, in a game of significant magnitude, like we're playing for a championship, you know what I mean? And we'd fought so hard to get back in the game. And I was like, man, I don't know about that right now. Like, that's like, I don't know, like taking a touchdown off the board when nobody heard a whistle, you know what I mean? And then somebody comes back and says, hey, you blew the whistle and it was a dead, I don't know. Like, I was trying to think of some example of that. But, like, yeah, I think they did the right thing, and I'm very thankful. And, again, like, my first thought was, okay, if this is, like, a thing, I'm glad we won. I mean, like, I couldn't even imagine that for Friday, coming up. So
it makes it all a bit sweeter, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Your guess that'll be reviewable in the future?
I don't even know. Like, I mean,
is that like a first thing on the itinerary?
Yeah, hey, Paul Gillier does a terrific job. I mean, he is a first-class person. The umpires in our league are the best. They're very professional. And I just, like, it's one, like, I'm out of my depth on that stuff, I just didn't understand why they were changing the call. I mean, for years it was like, get the call right, number one thing, which I'm way in favor of that. But then we added replay so we could get the call right. So I guess just make everything reviewable. Like, I'm the one I don't like is like the foul ball, or the ground ball, foul ball, fair ball. Like, it's not reviewable because it hit on the ground before the bag. Like, well, it's just as important, And then it's like, well, there's not enough cameras. Well, it's like, okay, like, I'll let them figure that stuff out.
SEC, or would that be an NCAA thing?
Probably NCAA. Yeah, we do some things differently in the league, like with the clock and stuff like that, and I think it's great that we're like spearheading a lot of stuff, and we should, because we're the best league. And I think that's something that should be noted. I mean, I'm really happy 11 teams are in. You know what I mean? Because, again, this is with great respect for the entire country. This is not like anything else, period. I talk about Coach Burtman all the time. Like, he made this the best job in the world, and he made it the toughest job in the world, because what people did is they took this blueprint that him and Ron Polk at Mississippi State put together, and now you have pretty close to 14 teams that have something similar, and it'll be 16 teams next year. So I think it's great that we all got in the field. And
well, in that vein, do you like the first base also, the green?
I think it was a tough time to implement it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I didn't think we had to win the games, but I'm sure it slept a lot better winning them. You know what I mean? So it's like a new rule. I mean, we appealed a play yesterday, and I could see, like, the guy at Tennessee going like, their dugout going like, "Are you really appealing to play over a green base?" You know, and I get it. You know what I mean? I just that the timing was tough. You know, it's something like I know one of the teams in our league they used it in Tuesday games, and if this is going to be something going forward, then we'll do something like that similar. It just kind of like I didn't even see it on the radar, and then boom, we're doing this. But I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody running into Jared Jones. Although it'd probably be worse for the person that ran into him than Jared.
So just the event. They get 16,000 people almost yesterday, and there's been some people like, oh, move that around, but it seems like
no way.
Yeah,
no way. There was some talk of that, and for the majority of the coaches in the league, you know, including the couple that were coming in next year, everybody was pretty like, it's a cool deal. I mean, I spoke about this before. It was a very small part, but I remember, you know, okay, am I going to come here, like watching the SEC tournament on TV in the West when there's a game on at 7:30 in the morning? It's like, man, I want to do that deal. You know what I mean? Like that was like an appeal to me. And then yesterday, I didn't watch the plane because it flew in from behind us, but like the energy in the crowd, the national anthem, it felt like the College World Series. Like, I mean, I literally got some chills at the beginning of the game yesterday, and I was like, man, this is so cool. Like, I'm glad we made it to this. Like, it would have been a good week had we lost the game on Saturday, but like, I'm glad we're here. Now let's just try to stay healthy, you know what I mean, and try to win it. But yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. Hats off to the league for that thing.
How difficult is it to sort of manage that situation for a game where you know you guys are locked in already, and you don't want to you want to stay healthy, but at the same time you're competitors.
Championship, so. Yeah. I want to respect it. We were definitely respected the game. Like, I mean, we used Nate, you know, we used Christian, we used Thatcher. If we tied it, like if the game would have got tied, Griffin was coming in the 10th, you know, so was up in the bullpen. It's just a tough 5 days against that caliber of competition. It's just like, you know, it's like, I'm trying to think of a good. It's like in football, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, you know, Texas, Oklahoma, whatever, in a row. You know, so I feel like our football coaches are like the only ones that kind of know what softball. I get everybody in the NCAA tournament. So, no, it's just not like the others, especially in baseball.
The magic moments thing
Mm-hmm.
that you guys did. When did that? What was the inspiration for that? When did you start?
Yeah, I stole that from my boss, Rich Hill, who's now the coach at Hawaii, who they just had an unbelievable season. They just won 18 out of their last 20 games, and I mean the RPI thing, they're not in the field. You know, probably lucky for somebody they're not in the field. He took it from the Lakers back in the day. Pat Riley was the coach, and it was just like there's a moment in the game that defines winning and losing, and the competitor, warrior, player steps up, grabs it. You know, you think about like Magic Johnson making a no-look pass, Kareem, game-winning shot, skyhook. So it kind of originated from that. We did it. He would give it out like right before the game. I like doing it like right after the game. And the players like it, and we turned it into the player actually saying something. You know, that's a new thing. And I think it's good, you know, that you want to develop confidence, and when you win those winning moments and then you acknowledge that, I think that develops confidence.
How hard is it sometimes to, you know, because there's points of inflection.
Yeah.
There's several in a game. How
Yeah.
hard is it some games to?
Yeah, like there was a few of those, like this weekend actually. It's okay, Braswell gets the hit, no brainer in that game, obviously. But how about Fidel? You know what I mean? That happens all the time. And in baseball, 9 innings, definitely in the SEC, there's more than one that comes along that you have to win the game. Those are fun though. Like when it's tough to choose, those are the best games. You know.
Did you see Chiefs helmets play?
Yeah, somebody showed me a video of that. So yeah, poor helmet. Yeah.
Is that great or what?
I mean, how emotional was that for everybody involved?
Yeah, it's a like non-NCAA tournament moment in my career up there. Yeah, and I'm not going to reveal the person, but like, I mean, I'm beside myself in the cage. Like, I'm like ready to fight everyone and like, you know, stand up for the team for winning the game. What's happening with tomorrow if we win the tournament? Like, I mean, I'm just like beside myself. And not a coach, but a staff member just walked up the tunnel and goes, walk-off home run. And then I had to think for a second, wait, are we the home team? Yeah. But he said it so casually, I'm like, so we won. He's like, yeah. And I like started to run out there, and I was like, oh, wait, like I better not run out there if I didn't want to complicate anything. And so there was a SEC official there, did a good job. Like, wait, just a second. They got on the walkie-talkie. He's like, okay, now you can go out. So.
You worry about your hands at all running out there?
Yeah, I had to shorten my steps a little bit. Yeah.
You said after the Florida game you wouldn't get kicked out again. Are you glad you reneged on
No, I do not. I literally, that's a whole, again, I don't want to get into this, but I literally went out there not to get kicked out. And I mean, I was in shock when I did. And then just immediately, instead of worrying about any of that, it was like, hey man, like this is a big deal. Like not just the moment in the game. And so I think
Is there a PG version of that you can share?
That guy was terrible.
What you said?
No, I mean, again, I respect all those umpires. Paul does a great job. It's not the story. The story is Travinsky drawing a walk, Milam hitting a walk-off home run.
Were you just surprised that it just happened like that? Like, obviously, you just said that wasn't your, what you wanted to do at all.
Yeah, no, I don't have any. Derek's a great umpire. I really am thankful for the crew. Like the crew really helped out right there. And again, like the attention of the games should be on the players, not the coaches. It was not my intent to do anything other than compete for our team. It was obviously a leverage play. We got out of the inning. We brought in our best pitcher to get out of the inning, and we got out of the inning. And then just how the call was reversed, that was my whole point of contention. Like, so wait a minute, I can just come out here and say you missed it, and then you're going to change it? Like that was what I was upset about, But I respect the thought of getting the call right. I'm on board with that.
Players' reaction to you running to them, like, where do you rank that moment? Their looks on their faces.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I love these guys, and again, you're looking for the story is 3-12, whatever, 22-15, having to go to the coaches show with Chris Blair, losing a few series in a row, and having a Tuesday game that you have to win because the weekend didn't go good the next day, like that's like my psychological warfare. And like to get past that, and we won 40 games. Like everybody needs to take a step back now. Like we won 40 games, and what a month. I mean, like the A&M thing. Gavin coming in and getting Jackson Appel to fly out with the tying run on second base. Alabama, heartbreaking loss on another controversial play, and to come back and win the next game 6-3, then lose the series and come back here and sweep at home, and then to go to Hoover and I'm pretty sure Kentucky is a national seed, right? Yeah. I left after we got
and number 2 overall.
Yeah, and Georgia's a national seed.
Yep.
Okay, so then you beat them, and then South Carolina's a 2 seed, and then you beat them twice, and then 4-3 number 1. All of that, after kind of what we went through, we're not the same team, and that's the story. Like that's the story, and now it's just about doing our deal in the postseason. 5 wins from Omaha, 10 from a national championship, 1 pitch at a time.
So Blair, going to Chris Blair, that's not like going to the principal's office.
I love Chris. It's not Chris's fault. It's just like it's a really hard deal on Monday night after a series loss with a game looming the next day that you have to win to have today be today. And then you're playing, as Jock said, like an NCAA tournament team a lot on Tuesdays. So pretty cool day and excited for the weekend.
Tommy's been good since he got here, but have you seen him maybe enjoy it?
Yeah, he's doing great. I got asked this question on the game the other day about him evolving as a leader, and I think we were maybe up on the set after the first day, and he's like, hey, man, I don't want to take this jersey off. And when a player he's going to be in the College Baseball Hall of Fame someday. He's one of those type of guys to say something like that, has the whole world in front of him. He's going to play in the major leagues, could win a batting title in the big league someday. That's pretty powerful, like leadership. And then it was funny. This was a funny one. I want to say this was the first South Carolina game. I gave Jared Jones the green light with 2 guys on base and a 3-0 count. He took a fastball right down the middle. And Tommy like looked at me. He's like, "Hey, why don't you do something?" That's awesome. It was pretty cool.
You guys put in a hosting bid.
Yeah.
So if things kind of
Yeah.
go your way, you could potentially have a super regional
Mhm.
here. Kind of crazy to think about when you consider
Yeah.
everything a month ago.
100%. Yeah. I said this before, and I thought everybody thought it fell and hit my head, but I believe we had a good team. And again, and I knew it as soon as I saw the schedule come out. Like, okay, this is gonna be it. At Mississippi State, motivated, talented, clearly. I mean, I think they were probably the first team left off the hosting list. We beat Florida for the national championship. Okay, you got them. At Arkansas, it's the most consistent team in the country the last 10 years. And Vanderbilt, 2-time national champion, and Tennessee's number 1, 5 weeks in a row. I don't think anybody else had that. So we wore it too. Like we weren't successful, during that time. But I never felt like it was as far away. I mean, we were 1 pitch away from winning the series against Florida. We were 1 strike away from getting into the 9th to win the series against Vanderbilt. We had the lead at Arkansas 3 times. We actually played good at Tennessee. And I've never said that in the series we've gotten swept. Like I felt like we played okay and got swept. Well, they're good. They're good, so that's why I never really kind of lost the hope or perspective, because just because they were good and it was hard games, it didn't mean that we weren't a good baseball team. But the story is the players sticking to it. And yeah, would that be awesome? Do I hope that happens like we're playing here the following week? 1,000%.
Would you rather be here or back in Arizona playing?
Here, for sure. And that's only just because of what this place is and special. But if you're playing baseball in a super regional, I don't care if it's in Australia. I don't. I really don't.
You did a good job of talking about Will Helmers yesterday. Kind of something you said, having Al and Hayden kind of keep everybody moving in the right direction. I assume it's probably pretty big for you guys this year.
Yeah. He's a great human being, great leader, really turning into a really good pitcher. Amazing contribution. I mean, I really believe we won the game because of the 2 scoreless innings he provided. And then on 1 day's rest, getting back out there and executing. And I have no problem going to him this weekend based on what he's done to this point.
I'm asking bad questions today. Al and Hayden.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about Will.
Yeah. That's
okay.
I was using that as an example.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did they do a good job behind the scenes? Like, they were kind of built up as leaders of this team.
Yeah, I think, no different than a freshman has to grow through things. If you haven't been in a position before, you have to grow through those things, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're a coach. You know what I mean? Before I came to LSU, I was never the coach at LSU. You know what I mean? I was never the coach at Arizona before that. So you're going to learn, Nobody's perfect, but those guys' care level is high. And it's reflected in how they played and staying with it. Like, those guys deserve the credit for staying with it and keeping everybody with it. And I'll definitely miss those guys. I've said this before, and I felt the same way about those guys last year. The guys that have made this, and this has nothing to do with performance, are those older players that were already here. And then how they've stayed and evolved and grown and improved and developed, and their characters, they're men. They're men, you know what I mean? And they've positively influenced everybody else around them and kept it together.
Well, good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.